Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I was recently thinking of how I'm always telling people I know my favourite history facts and thought that it would actually make a pretty decent video. Also, I know this has been done to death on YouTube, but I don't really care, this is just for fun. So, without further ado, let's get into 10 of my favourite history facts. There are numerous theories of how handshakes started, but the most popular states that it originated in prehistory, possibly in ancient Greece or Assyria, and was intended as a demonstration of peace between two soldiers or commanders. You see, initially handshaking was more of a mutual arm grab, and this theory posits that this was intended to show that neither soldier was holding any concealed weapons. Over time, this practice eventually evolved into the handshake we all know and love today. As crazy as this may sound, it is likely that Alexander the Great was in fact horrifically buried alive. In 323 BC, Alexander fell ill, and after 12 days of excruciating pain, he seemingly passed away. However, his corpse didn't show any signs of rot or decomposition for a whole 6 days later, which people at the time attributed to divine favour, but in reality it seems likely he suffered from a neurological disorder called Guillain-Barré syndrome. Modern scientists believe that when Alexander died, he was actually just paralysed while being mentally aware the whole time, but as he was unable to communicate and for all intents and purposes seemed dead to those around him, he was horrifically buried alive. Speaking of being buried alive, the first president of America, George Washington, had a massive fear of this, and as a result, on his deathbed on the 14th of December 1799, likely due to a combination of bloodletting and a bad throat infection, he instructed his private secretary, Tobias Lear, to wait 3 days before he was buried. Continuing on the topic of American presidents, President Andrew Jackson had a pet parrot named Polly, which he supposedly taught to curse like a sailor. This cursing was so extreme that there is even a legend that the late president's parrot had to be taken out of his funeral due to its excessive profanity. As unbelievable as this one may sound, the University of Oxford first opened its doors to students all the way back in 1096, just 30 years after the Norman conquest of England. By comparison, the Aztec Empire is believed to have originated with the founding of the city of Tenochtitlan, sorry if I'm butchering that, at Lake Texcoco by the Mexica, which occurred in the year 1325, over 200 years after the creation of the University of Oxford. As normal as they are to us today, forks in fact used to be seen as sacrilegious and a tool of the devil. This is because the highly religious people of the medieval age believed that eating food with artificial hands offended God. Forks would only become widespread in Italy in the 16th century before slowly spreading into France around that same time. It would not be for another 200 years, however, that forks would be adopted in the rest of Europe and became the widespread utensil they are today. In 1644, for reasons I can't really fathom, English statesman and essentially dictator after the Civil War, Oliver Cromwell, banned the eating of pie, declaring it a pagan form of pleasure. For 16 whole years, pie eating and making went underground, which in and of itself is a hilarious statement, until the monarchy was restored in England and the Restoration leaders, including Charles II, lifted the ban on pie in 1660. Being Australian myself, this fact really hits home for me, and I'm glad that eventually the English came to their senses and restored the pie back to its former glory. Before Julius Caesar invaded Britain in the year 55 BC, some Romans believed Britain to be just the foot of another huge northern continent, with a few others believing it was a place full of unbelievable riches. Most, however, simply thought that Britain did not exist. This is unlike the Norse in the show Vikings, who definitely knew England did exist before they sailed there, contrary to what is depicted on the show. Genghis Khan is widely known as one of the most brutal and violent conquerors of all time, and for good reason. It is believed that Genghis Khan and his Mongol horde were responsible for the deaths of 11% of the world's population at the time, including 3/4 of the population of Iran. This massive lowering of the population was so dramatic that it actually lowered global temperatures and helped scrub 700 million tons of carbon from the atmosphere. This common phrase was first recorded by Rudyard Kipling in his 1891 novel, The Light That Failed, and is believed to derive from the historical practice of having a patient clench a bullet in their teeth as a way to cope with the pain of a surgical procedure on the battlefield when there was either no time or not enough supply to administer anesthetics. Well, there are just 10 of some of my favourite historical facts, and honestly, I could go on for days about all these fascinating facts I know, so if you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure to let me know in the comments. I know this was a little bit different to my usual content, but regardless, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day, night, wherever you are, and I hope to see you in the next one.